Welcome to the Art Institute of Chicago. I am unfamiliar with their collection, so when we go in there, it's going to be all fresh to me and all fresh to you. Why don't you come along? It should be fun. Jesus. 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 No, I'm not being perverted. I just wanted to illustrate the detail on the veins on the breasts. Vulcan. Hephaestus to the Greeks. Jesus. The Penitent Saint Peter. I actually dig this one, not only for the imagery and iconography, but again, the craquelure. Weight of time in there. More craquelure. This one about 4 centuries worth. Jesus. This is an interesting take on the infant Christ and John the Baptist embracing in their youth.
Kissing cousins.
Kissing cousins, exactly. Exactamente. When motorboating goes wrong. Jesus. Judith about to whoop some ass butt naked. I'm sure it makes, but that makes a loop. So, I mean, it's just going to be Judeo-Christian iconography. I'm pretty sure. St. Francis. Who are we to judge the feet of the gods? But they are funky. Poor Jupiter. Jesus. The flight into Egypt. I'm always struck by 400 or 500-year-old artwork where animals are basically anthropomorphized. That is a smiling cow, people. That is a smiling cow. Yeah. Again, children always, even if there isn't a placard, if there is a little sheepy lamb right here, that is probably going to be John the Baptist. Jesus. And mommy. I also want to point out this is El Greco, and his eyes that he's placed on Jesus are almost Disney-like. Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my religion's complete? I want to do a close-up on the horizontal craquelure. Very, very Italian. Oops, those aren't Italian. I was a wrestler as a youth, and statues such as these really do not help with the stigma that goes with it, or at least not the stigma that went with it back in the 20th century. Jesus, actually, yeah, this one's supposed to be Jesus too, because it's the Virgin, the Child, and then St. John the Baptist over here, looking, again, very cartoonish. Jesus. Just a bunch of Jesuses. It's almost as if he's going, that's my dog, man. That's my dog. That's my... The sheep means John the Baptist. Jesus. Fabulous Jesus. Son of Jesus. Toulouse Lautrec. At the Moulin Rouge. This is probably the baddest assed pelican I have ever seen in my life.
Schneegal. Why does he cry, Schneegal?
One of Gauguin's more pervy works, and Gauguin being a perv as it is.
My views on contemporary art have a tendency to annoy certain people, those people being the ones that claim that you cannot define art. Yet my whole life, I have defined art as the externalization through a medium of that which was previously only internal. It's a difficult definition to argue with because it encompasses everything. So if what is internal for you is a banana duct taped to a canvas, that's fine. That's your art. Other people have entire civilizations internalized that they make externalized. It's all a matter of what speaks to you and speaks to the artist. The caveat being, does it speak to you, or is it something somebody told you should speak to you? Always self-evaluate. That definition covers pretty much anything we deem art culturally, from music to the written word to the visual arts. It allows for, well, pop music like Taylor Swift or any of that K-pop stuff to be considered art alongside Vivaldi and Mozart. So if what is your internal landscape happens to be Shake It Off, that's fine. Somebody else might have the Requiem. What does provoke umbrage for me is when someone blithely says, well, you just don't get it. The thing is, people are capable of, quote, unquote, getting something, and simply not feeling it's worth the title or the awe it's been given. I get schoolhouse rhymes, but that doesn't mean I think they are Shakespeare.
He gets such credit Chagall. It's like would typically just pass by. Tyrant.
Lita in The Swan is always depicted so artfully, but knowing avian anatomy, I've always found the story just icky.
Proto-Jesus. Bacchus. Imagine finding something like this.
No.
I like this because they address the fact, and you can see some of the syncretism, right?
Captain American shield.
You're not
Rambo headband.
entertained.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar to one of my favorite pieces in Cleveland, the Stargazer, and it is from the exact same time frame, just bigger. Of course, Chicago has a bigger one.
Unfortunately, I missed out on the armory, which is typically one of my favorites in any collection given my fascination with ancient weaponry. But I found the easiest way to get there after the fact was past these giant naked T-1000 Terminators, and they kind of put me off.
Georgia O'Keeffe, the artist who can make a cattle skull look like a vagina. Background accompanying music, but we just spent 5 hours in the Art Institute. We still miss stuff. To say the collection is impressive is an understatement, but that is just impressive is the only word that comes to mind because I'm exhausted. Hope you enjoyed it.